Super Mario 64 speedrunning is the gift that just keeps on giving. As one of the biggest, if not the biggest speed game of all time, each new world record is a huge deal, especially with how optimized and difficult the runs have become over the years. Some of the most iconic and respected world records in speedrunning history belong to the game's three biggest categories. 16-star, where exploits such as the infamous BLJ are used to skip most of the game, 70-star, which bans BLJs and the game must be completed with the intended amount of stars, and of course, 120 stars, where there are no restrictions, but every single star must be collected. In recent times, some major milestones previously thought to be impossible have been broken in each of these three categories. And as you can imagine, new world records aren't awfully common, with many of them standing strong for several months or even years at a time. Which is why the second week of November 2021 is probably the greatest week in Super Mario 64 speedrunning ever. Within this single week, the world records for 16, 70, and 120 star were all beaten, which has never ever happened before in the game's entire history. In today's video, I will go over every world record beaten in the greatest week in Mario 64 history, their backstory, and the speedrunners behind them, who are now spearheading a brand new era of Mario 64 speedrunning. Oh, and if you end up enjoying this video and you want to see more like this, remember to subscribe. And thank you so much for 40,000 subscribers. At the start of the week on November 7th, the first record to be broken happened to be quite the historic milestone. The first sub 1 hour 38 minute time in the 120 star category. It doesn't seem that long ago when the first verified sub 139 time was achieved by Cheese back in February 2020 at the premier Break the Record Live event held by ESA. A 3-day invitational event where 7 of the best Mario 64 speedrunners raced for the first 138. Here, Cheese would defend his nearly 4-year domination of the category, but in the following months, he would have some major competition. Nearly 2 months later, one of the other runners from the event, Liam, would snatch the record with a 138.43 after grinding nearly every day since the start of the year. He had been a top 120 runner for nearly a year at this point, after a meteoric rise in the summer of 2019. Liam had been a strong contender for a while, as his peak quality of play and work ethic were unparalleled. This was his first time ever having the record, but just as quickly as he rose to the top of the leaderboard, he would vanish. During Liam's absence, the 120 star record would lower quite a bit. Simply would achieve his first world record with his now infamous 138.28 on May 29th, which would stand for the rest of the year. But even then, 137 was looking very likely. You see, as great as these 138 runs were, they were far from the best time a human could get. 120 star is an absolute gauntlet of a speed run. Consistency is super important. Very rarely does a new world record improve due to a new strategy. Implementing new difficult strategies can help, but only when maintaining a high quality of play throughout the run. 137 was going to need a really good run, and in 2021, many runners hopped on the grind. Cheese would take the record back by 3 seconds on January 29th, exactly 8 months after Simply. Batora, an old-school Japanese runner, took back the record in April with a 138.21, after not having the 120 world record for over 10 years. Other runners like Simply, Punkation, and Hokarubi were also aiming to snag the first 137. Many months passed, and no one had gotten a 137 yet, and Liam was still nowhere to be found. That is, until August, when Liam tweeted for the first time in a year, saying, "Hello." He then returned to streaming a few days later with some practice. He hadn't practiced or played much during his absence, but he was finally back, baby! And he was about to show that speedrunning Mario 64 is just like riding a bike. You never truly forget. 6 weeks later, Liam would snag the world record back from Batora with a 138.13. just barely missing 137 due to a sloppy Bowser fight, including a missed throw at the end. But it was okay, the run could be way better. Almost a month later, on November 7th, Liam would start a run that was pretty shaky to say the least. But after a few mistakes, most notably during Owlus in Womp's Fortress and the shifting Sandland Red Coin Star, the run would begin to pick up some steam. Liam would begin to save a lot of time for most of the run, even getting a gold split during Dire Doc's 100 coins. Things became more shaky during the later levels, but Liam was playing out of his mind up to that point, and was on a cozy 137 pace leading to the final Bowser fight, during which this happened.
Okay, it's fine. Oh my god. Oh my f***ing god. No, dude. No. Dude, what? Oh my god. Oh my god.
Well, that was certainly a way to break a new minute barrier. Even a missed throw didn't deter Liam from destroying Batora's world record by 20 seconds and getting the 137 in the process. It's bizarre seeing this milestone be broken with such a glaring mistake at the end, but it just goes to show how well Liam played for most of the run, and how we still have ways to go before humans reach the limit of 120 star. 136 looks possible, although as of now, it will require near perfect play with current strats, or may even need newer strats such as the new Saxdale Framewalk in Jolly Roger Bay. But if there's one person that could potentially grind hard enough to get 136, it's Liam. For now, let's move on to 3 days later, November 10th, when the 16-star record was broken. 16-star is by far the most ran category in Mario 64. It isn't even close. The category's short length and simple sequence breaks make it easy to learn as a beginner, but incredibly difficult to master. Last year on May 10th, the Japanese speedrunner Aki got a world record of 14:59, the first sub-15-minute run, potentially the last minute barrier to ever be broken by a human. Getting a world record in this category is incredibly hard, especially a sub-15. 16-star world records need to implement more optimized and difficult movement and strategies compared to longer categories. Every second counts, and you can't afford to mess up the BLJs or miss any Bowser throws. Runners have continued to implement new optimizations since Aki's record, such as the new fastest setup for the Cannonless Star in Womp's Fortress, developed by Salt and Ginger. There's also Fly Guy lists in Shifting Sandland, which was a strat only used in individual star runs that involved using a precise slide kick off of this sand dune in order to catch Klepto with the star using a long jump instead of the old method of bouncing off a Fly Guy and spinning into Klepto. There's also been more optimized movement for faster platform cycles in Bowser in the Fire Sea and the Sky, and finally, the recently discovered chip clip in Dire Docks, originally found by Chip Groove, where swimming perpendicular to this wall and punching at the correct time allows Mario to warp deeper into the tunnel, saving about a second. Aki's 16-star world record would stand for over a year as the sole sub-15-minute time, until this summer, when it would finally be broken by Kano in June with a 14:58, and then by Slippery Nip in August with a 14:56. All of these runners have years of experience running the game. However, another strong contender was Green Suiji, who is far less experienced than his competition. A year into running 16-star, however, he lowered his personal best from a half-an-hour time down to a sub-16. A few months later, and he would be competing for the world record. Over the summer, Suiji continued to practice and grind runs, inching closer and closer towards the record. On September 4th, he would get his first sub-15. 2 months later, on November 10th, he would do this.
Oh my god! Oh my god, dude. Okay. Nice. Is that a world record? I think I fucked it up at the end there. Nope, that's a record. Oh my god. Okay.
1455. A new 16-star world record. An absolutely incredible feat on its own, made even more extraordinary when you take into account that Suiji hadn't even been running the game for a full 2 years yet. This isn't the first time something like this has happened in Mario 64, as Cheese got his first world record in 120 star in 2015 after only running the game for about a year. I haven't really seen that happen since then, and to think that a complete novice could grind to become the world record holder in one of the most competitive and optimized speedrunning categories ever, in 2021 no less, shows that it's never ever too late to get into speedrunning. Miraculously though, this wouldn't be the only world record Suiji would get that day, as he would improve his own world record in the 16-star no LBLJ category just hours later. It's not on the main leaderboard, but rather on a category's extension page, but it is still a very impressive run. As of writing the script, Suiji has since improved his 16-star record by a second, with some notable time loss in Dire Docks, and is continuing to grind for a lower time, along with the previously mentioned runners. One of these runners was Ouija, who if you've watched Summoning Salt's 16-star world record history video, may recognize him as the guy that barely missed world record by accidentally jumping away from the giant star at the end. But if you look more closely at Ouija's speedrun resume, he is probably one of the most talented speedrunners of all time. In 2018, Ouija had previously gotten the 16-star world record, and he is also one of the greatest Mario Sunshine speedrunners ever, most notably beating Nindede's infamous 1:14:40 in 2019, after it had stood as the world record for over 2 years. Recently, Ouija had taken a break from 16-star to focus on 70-star, a category that had a scarily strong world record of 46:59 by D whatever, who was not only the sole person with a sub 47, but when he achieved that record on June 12, 2020, he was 24 seconds faster than Puncation at second place. D was excellent at his movement and implementing more difficult strats, and his consistency in lowering the record leading up to the sub 47 is nothing to sneeze at. A year would pass and the record was still comfortably ahead of the competition. During the summer, however, the gap would begin to close thanks to Benji and Ouija. These two runners began to optimize their movement and implement even more of the newer strats I talked about earlier. Both runners improved their PB significantly, and both proved time and time again that either one of them could clutch out the run. It wouldn't be until November 10th when we would witness the run. Yes, that same November 10th where Suiji got the 16-star and the 16-star no LBLJ records. As a matter of fact, it was only a few hours later. Ouija started off his run particularly well, even getting a gold split for Cool Mountain, saving a significant amount of time. However, things would get a bit sloppy in the basement, where he lost time by messing up Fly Guyless and shifting Sandland, and failing to knock the bullies into lava quickly in Lethal Lava Land, as well as some other noticeable movement flubs, negating the time he had previously saved. He would eventually save more time after a great Tall Mountain split, but he slipped up a bit in Snowman's Land before he saved up some more time in Tick-Tock Clock, the last stage before Bowser in the Sky. Despite the back and forth nature of the run, Ouija was still playing out of his damn mind throughout, and the run was looking incredibly healthy leading up to Bowser. It came down to throws.
Alright, just... I got it by like a second. What kind of f***ing ending to a run is that, dude? Really?
Wow. Despite missing a throw, it's astonishing how Ouija just refused to let it get to him and just barely clutch it out at the end. Out of all the possible ways for D-Whatever's 70-star record to be beaten in, I certainly wasn't expecting that. As flawed as some parts of Ouija's run were, it is still a great indication of his insane skill and how much he is willing to push 70 and 16-star forward. Super Mario 64 has been getting pretty optimized over the years, and we still have quite a bit of time saved before humans reach a hard limit. Each of the world record holders I mentioned in this video continue to improve their gameplay and their world records nearly every day, leading a new generation of Mario 64 runners and will continue to push the times lower than we could ever imagine. So I highly recommend watching their live streams, and you may potentially catch something very historic. A new era has arrived, and I can't wait to see what happens next. This has been LunaticJ. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to shoot for the moon.